Hello guys, today I wanted to try a new type of video. I wanted to make those introductions to game, and I don't want to make a deep dive, and I don't even want to sell you on the game. But the idea is that if you're invited to join a game, and maybe you ended with a pre-made character, or maybe you make one with the guidance of the GM and the book, but then you're ready to join the game and you kind of know what you're doing. So I'm gonna not gonna go into the whole background of the game. I'm not gonna cover every little obscure mechanics. I'm not gonna talk about how to run the game, but I'll try to cover what you most likely need to know to start playing as a player. And I'll try to do it under 20 minutes or as fast as I can, not including this introduction. So to start this series, I wanted to go with a game I talked about before already in the past, King Arthur Pendragon, that I will refer to as Pendragon. And I'm looking at the 5.2 edition, but the rules are pretty much the same for the other edition as much as I recall. In Pendragon, you play a knight of King Arthur's court, or if you're playing the Paladin version, which are the same system, you play a knight in Charlemagne's court. And there are some rules to play other things than a knight, but if you're the first time playing Pendragon, just play a knight. Let's have a quick look at the character sheet and walk through it. So this is the official character sheet from for a basic knight that is from Salisbury region and is of a Cymric origin, which is what is assumed that most players are going to play. No, sorry, I'm just going to scroll back up. And so the personal data, like that's the official sheet from Chaosium. The personal data, it's here. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's name, age. Age, you assume to play a squire that is right about to be knighted. So you're gonna start between 21 and 26. Number of the son number is the order in which you're born as a male. So usually it's assumed that you're gonna be the firstborn son. So you put 1. Homeland, like I said, the default is that you come from Salisbury, which is a region in a bit in the south of Britain, if I remember correctly. Culture is going to be Cymric. Cymric is basically mean Old Britain, the Old Britain culture before the Roman invaded. Religion is either going to be like a Christian or pagan. Lord is going to be the lord of your homeland, so your liege lord. If you're in Salisbury, the default is that it's going to be, I think its name is Roderick. Current class, you start as a squire normally, but if you want to start like a little further in play, you can start as a vassal knight. Current home is going to be the manor of your father. Then if you look at the attributes, they are different than in D&D. You have size, dexterity, strength, constitution, appearance. There's no mental stat. It's all physical. The attributes are also point-based. They're not roll. So, and you have also like those derive attribute here that are damage, because your damage is based on your the damage you do in combat is based on your strength and your size, and it's a number of d6. So usually like 4d6 is pretty good damage. Healing rate in Pendragon characters, that's the number of hit point you regain per week, and in Pendragon character regains hit point once a week on Sunday at noon. So it's a bit specific. So if you take an injury like on Saturday evening, it's not going to linger too long. If you take an injury on Monday morning, then you're going to have to deal with it the whole week. Movement rate is in yard, so and that includes for when you're wearing armor. So it's the same thing that the damage assume that you're going to be using a weapon of some sort. And it's the same with the movement rate. They assume you're going to have armor because you're a knight after all. Total hit point, there's no mystery here. Unconscious, that's quarter of your hit point. If you dip below that, you're going to become unconscious. And a few other things I want to mention here. There's nice next to size, it's a knockdown. If an enemy roll an attack against you and cause damage that is more than your size, you're going to be knocked down, knocked off your feet, knocked off your horse if you're mounted. And this is before armor reduction from damage. Major wound is if you receive an injury that is more than your constitution score, you're gonna get a major wound. That is after armor reduction. The +3 next to con is just because if you play a Cymric knight, you get a +3 to your con. Stat attributes normally going to range between 5 and 18, except for size. That is going to be, the lower limit is going to be 8. And Constitution, if you play a Chimeric Knight, it can reach up to 21. And it won't be able below 8 as well because of this +3 bonus. Appearance also can be very important for many mechanics in the game. When you do court activity, it's important, and also when you're looking for a wife. And Pendragon is meant to be played on many generations, so getting married and having sons, which the eldest one will become your next character, is important. Also, you have like a distinctive future right under there, and you're gonna get more of those if you get like a high appearance score or low appearance score. So you can get distinctive features that are positive or negative. And those are not just incidental. Like if you say your character is hairy, it's not just a guy with some hair on the chest. Like he's the kind of guy that people look around and say, holy shit, this guy is hairy. The same if you think something like a nice smile. It's a very nice smile that leaves an impression on people. In the skills section below, we see what the character is expected to do in the game. And the number in parentheses are like the default value for a character starting from as a Chimeric Knight starting from Salisbury. You will also increase those score in character creation. Just follow the book here; it's pretty straightforward. The box next to each skill is for experience check. When you use a skill in play, you can make a check in this box, and then when come the winter phase, which I'm going to talk about a bit later, you can test to see if the skill increase or not. While we're on the skill, let me tell you about the basic mechanic for rolling in Pendragon. When you try to use a skill, you roll a d20, and you want to roll equal or below your skill, but as high as possible. If you roll exactly your skill, it's a critical success. If you roll a 20, it's a fumble. You can also temporarily raise your skill above 20, and in this case, you will always succeed, but also your dice roll is increased by everything above 20. And your crit range is also increased. So if you have a skill of a 25, you basically add +5 to your roll. So if you roll a 17, that gives you a 22. But since you pass 20, you also crit. So basically, if you have a skill of 25, you're going to crit on anything between 15 and 20. If you do opposed roll, you want to roll below or equal your skill, but higher than your opponent. And your opponent also have to roll below his skill. He could roll higher than you, but above his skill, then you would still win. Personality traits are a huge part of what makes Pendragon special. There's a list right here of personality traits. They all match in pair, and the pair always total 20. The starting value are based on your religion, and then you can modify them at character creation as well. Again, you can follow the book for those. And if you have one of those traits that is above 16, and you should, because it's given to you in the character creation, then that makes it a remarkable trait. It's something that you're known for. There's a chivalry bonus marked there, and there's some dot next to some trait here. That means if those traits with the dots total above 20, you get a chivalry bonus, which is not described in the book. Usually people say it's a +1 on every roll you make. Check with your GM for that. During gameplay, you can generally act however you want, but if you have a trait that is above 15 and you try to act against that trait, like if you have an honest score of 16 and you try to lie, the GM may ask for a trait roll. You have to roll for the opposite trait, like deceitful in that instance, and on a success you can do whatever you want. On a failure, you have to test for the opposite trait. If you succeed on the opposite trait, then you have to act in a manner aligned with this opposite trait. And if you crit fail on the first roll, you don't have to roll for the second one. You automatically act in the opposite manner. So for example, if you have an honest score of 16 and you try to lie, you would have to roll your deceitful skill. Your deceitful trait would be, the score would be 4. So you roll a 4 or less and then you can lie, no problem. If you roll a 20, it's a fumble and you will tell the truth. If you roll between 4 and 20, not including 4 and 20, you will have to make an honest roll. And if you fail on the honest roll, you can lie. If you succeed on the honest roll, then you have to tell the truth. So it's a way that the trait enforces a character to behave in a way that is not out of character. The box next to the trait are also for experience, but you gain those checks if you do a critical success on one of those tests, or if you use the trait in a situation that is like significant and important. Passion, right under the traits, are very powerful. They are things that are important to your character, and when you try to act in support of one of your passion, you can get inspire. You make a passion roll, and on a success, you get a +10 to every roll for the rest of the scene, or a +20 if you do a critical success. So I mentioned earlier that having your skill going over 20 is this is a big one. This is a way to do it. There are, however, drawbacks to invoking patient, because if you fail on your patient roll, you get this enarten, and you receive a -5 on every roll for the rest of the scene, and then you will be melancholic. More on that later. If you succeed on a passion roll, you get your bonus and all, but if you fail to accomplish the task that you're trying to do, that you get inspired for, you'll age. And aging is a big component of that game. You can lose stat for that, attributes for that. If you did get melancholic, you're unable to act. You're just like moping around, you're depressed, and you can be led around by a woman. But if a man comes to disturb you, you'll get enraged and attack him. And in this attack, you are inspired. So you get this +10 to all your combat skill. And you'll attack for a 1d6 round before coming back to your senses. There are mechanics to help a character snap out of his melancholy. I won't go into them here because it's too much detail. But melancholy will normally subside after a number of weeks equal to the patient score that caused the state. So oftentimes the character is just going to be out for the rest of the adventure. And trying to get a character to snap out of melancholy can get him mad and like into madness. And then it's pretty much the end of this character. You just run off in the wood, and like Lancelot did in Excalibur. Combat in Pendragon is pretty simple. They're resolved as a opposed test. So if you fight someone in melee, you're both gonna roll their combat skill they're using, and if both combatants succeed, the one with the highest roll can roll with damage. The one with the lowest roll can use his shield. If one of the combatants failed, the other one succeed, then the one that succeed can do the damage. The one that failed cannot use his shield, and if both fail, nothing happened. I said earlier that damage was based on the size and strength of the character. If you're on horseback and if you're charging on horseback, it's going to be based on your horse. So a lance hit from a knight on a destrier is like very brutal. If you do a critical success on your attack, and the damage roll is double, and armor reduce the damage received. So you just subtract the armor value from the damage roll, and if you could use your shield, like I said, if you succeeded on your roll but roll less than the opponent, the shield adds 6 to your armor rating. Also in combat, there's no initiative. Combat is resolved in phase. So first the participant declare what they plan on doing, and the GM decide if the player declare first or the opponent declare first. It's pretty loose on that point. Then you resolve the attacks that the character make, and then the character can move. But you can either attack or move in a round. You cannot do both. You can also do other action instead of attacking or moving. You can try to dodge an attack instead of fighting back. Or you can call upon your squire to help you in some way. Because yes, you have a squire. You got a section here for the squire there. That got his own skill. And what about ranged weapon? Well, they're seen as unknightly, so they don't tend to play a big part for PC. A lot of the fighting, however, will be done from horseback. And I said earlier that the damage will be based on the horse when you charge. And if you're not charging and just sitting on the horse, then it's your normal damage. But if you're making a charge, you have to do it while moving. That's an exception to normal rules, and you have to move at least 6 yards. And if you target an opponent that is not also a knight on a horse charging at you, you gain +5 on your attack. And if you fight from horseback somebody that is on foot, whether you're charging or not, that's also a +5 to your attack. But if you're charging somebody that is on foot, then that's a +10 to your attack. So this is a big chance to give you a critical, especially if you can invoke a patient. So what else is important to mention here? I talked about knockdown value a bit earlier. Well, yeah, if you if somebody rolled damage against you that is higher than your size, before the armor reduction, you can get knocked down. So you can make a dex check, a dex roll to remain on your foot if you're on foot, or a horsemanship roll to not be on horse if you're on your horse. If you're on your horse and you're knocked down, you can get fall damage as well. But and major wound, if you receive 1, that's again if you receive more damage than your con after the armor reduction, then you have to check the surgery needed box right here below wound. That means you're gonna need a surgeon to look at you if you want to heal. And you also have to roll a d20 and roll higher than your roll lower than your remaining hit point, or you get unconscious. And you will also have some attribute reduce. You're gonna go on a table for the same table that you use for aging, basically like having a major wound kind of age you. And if you remain conscious and you want to keep fighting, you have to succeed on a valorous trait. The next thing I want to talk about is the winter phase. I'm not gonna go too much into detail here because it's I'm past the 10-minute marks already. And in Pendragon, PCs are expected to go on one adventure a year. And it's expected the character will age and die, and you'll keep playing with his heir. So the firstborn son usually. You also have to manage your estate. So in the winter phase, you'll do that. You first gonna roll for experience. So all those skill that you check the box, you're gonna test them, but you want to fail those tests. And if you do fail, the skill is increased. Then you'll check for aging, and when you age, your attributes are gonna get reduced. And then you can do a set of roll for economic circumstance, and you're gonna see if your horses or family member die, or if you get people getting born. And then you can train yourself to increase a skill some more, and you calculate your glory. And getting glory is the aim of the game. You want to get renowned enough so you can join the order of the round table. That's kind of like the end goal there. And you get glory from all kind of sources. You'll get it from some deed you accomplish during your adventuring. You'll get some from having high traits and passion. You'll get some from getting married. You'll get some from holding manors and castle. And you'll inherit glory from your father. So when your character die and you start playing with the son, part of the glory that was gained by the father is passed down to the son. So you don't always have to start back from 0. And again, for the winter phase, a case of just like follow the books. It's too much info just to remember of the dome anyway. So you're always that's always something you follow the procedure in the book. And anyway, I think that would give you like a good basis if you want to play Pendragon or Paladin. And if you get invited to a game of Pendragon, don't pass out on this game. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you found this video interesting. Let me know what you think of this video format. I'd like to do more of them in the future. And they're not going to be like every other video, but once in a while, I think they could be a useful thing. So thank you for watching and take care.